But I want to begin with my belief about teacher empowerment, because that's what this is about. And the lens on which I'm looking at teacher empowerment is this idea of confidence. So I'm going to marry together a bunch of ideas, which is teacher confidence or teacher empowerment, research, and practices, and why research matters. And I was just going to say that it's not research with a capital R. This could be research with a small r. It could be a one-day snapshot study. It could be using your data well. So don't get scared of that research word. And all the Escuela concept teachers who've been with us for 3 years, they know. They're all nodding. So I'm like, more friendliness from the audience. I love that. What I want to let you know is the reason for that is teachers, when you research and conduct your own classroom research, and you actually use your own data, then you develop more confidence in your ability to take action. And that turns into like passion and excitement and all kinds of things. So that's the whole lens and the story that I'm going to be telling you today. With one idea, they collected their data and they had an oh no moment. Didn't you have an oh no moment? Yes, look at those head nods. And they called in the research team. It wasn't me. I think it was maybe Damien or someone from they called for help. They got some help. Alan might have helped too. And what they did was they switched the way they did their research to include their students. And it turned out great. And so the moral of the story is shift happens. And don't worry, that's a kind of an idiomatic joke. And then if your initial data doesn't come out the way you want, you just need to shift maybe the way you're looking at it or collecting it. And you need to talk it out with your team. And before I show you the next thing that we're going to do, it's the team that Ariel talked about is really important. And I want to talk to you as just like sidebar. When I worked at Apple for 20 years, I used to get feedback on my work from non-educators at Apple. Pretty brutal, let me tell you. So I'd go to the engineering team or the iTunes team and I would say, hey, look, I'm gonna put this out for Apple Distinguished Schools or something. And they're like, that's jargon, I don't even know what you're talking about. So I got like excellent feedback from people who knew nothing about my content, right? And so I am going to encourage you all to step out of your comfort zone. And we also did something called ad hoc teams. So while I was the Lone Ranger at Apple, I also had something called ad hoc teams. So if I had to put on an event, I could get 30 people from around the world to help me. But then they went back to their regular day job. So your team doesn't have to be with you every step of the way, but they have to be willing to listen to you and help you figure it out. And then you can learn too. So as I kind of reflect and I close out here, we learned that a single teacher can have impact with her own research study, something simple, not big, around her own classroom practice. That we also learned from the seed is if teams come together, they can kind of work it out and figure it out. And you could probably get teams in different schools and you help each other. And finally, when you are working as a team and working as a collection, you become a whole garden that's growing and you will be changing teacher practice. That's the whole, my whole 40-year mission and why I'm still standing here is this phrase here. It's because we want students to learn the way they learn best. And how else are we gonna know that unless we ask them, right? And we need to ask them all the time. And so that's the story of teacher empowerment and building teacher confidence. But we in this room can empower each other. And as the STAR website continues to grow, and thank you everyone who is working on this, Aldo and team, because it is gonna grow a little bit more before Saturday. Magically, the garden will grow, and you'll have more on there. We're gonna be looking at the rest of this time around teacher empowerment. So let me remind you what I think it is. It's when teachers continuously research their own practice, they are empowered to make and have confidence to make decisions that are going to support the best pedagogy for students. So that was my story.